Why is it so important to get rid of your eating disorder clothes, aka your sick clothes, as you pursue eating disorder recovery? My name is Sheena and I'm your eating disorder expert, and I do episodes on all things eating disorder education and recovery every Wednesday. So if this is something that you're interested in learning more about, definitely click that subscribe button and the alerts button so you don't miss any new episodes. So, our sick clothes, or the clothes that we wore as we were deep into our eating disorder, are actually the physical manifestation of the eating disorder. And I often see this being the most difficult thing to let go after we are well into our recovery, after we have restored the body, and after we have normalized our relationship with food. So, why is it so difficult to let go of those clothes that we loved when we were sick? This one is that clothes are actually a huge part of our identity. Think about all of the time that you spent shopping for clothes, who you shopped with, how the stores that you frequented, the experiences that you had while you were shopping for those clothes. All of those things are profound life events. They're part of what make us who we are. And so when we're recovering from our eating disorder, it can feel like we're letting some of those parts of ourselves go as well. We may have a different shopping experience as we are in our recovery. We might feel negative about that experience, and we might have to develop a new identity and a new relationship with the body as we are transitioning what we put onto it. So, those things are incredibly difficult, and we need to just hold space for the fact that this is an identity shift. The reason that it's so difficult to let go of those sick clothes is that we have had profound life experiences in our sick clothes, most likely. We've experienced concerts in those sick clothes where we have photographs of us and our friends and our best life moments. We might have gone to special occasions with our family in those clothes where we picked out the perfect outfit. And now we're not too sure who we are as we're transitioning into this new body, and we're letting go of what feels like some of those experiences in the clothes that we wore when we were in our eating disorder. I'm here to tell you that you own those experiences, even if we're letting go of the clothing that we like to describe what I call the clothing assignment. So this actually starts when we're young children by diet culture. The clothing assignment begins when we start collecting clothing in the first grade, second grade, etc. We might see size 9, size 10, size 11, and we're honestly expected by diet culture to correspond with that number that is quote unquote age appropriate. And that's where that clothing assignment starts. And unfortunately, we don't really ever let go of that clothing assignment. We expect that no matter what our life events hold or the circumstances that our body undergoes, we are expected in our own minds and through the view of diet culture to adhere to this clothing prescription. Many individuals are still assigning themselves the number on the clothing tag from when they were sophomores in high school. We haven't quite come to know that identity of that in our recovered body. And so while our body has shifted, and maybe we've even come to terms with some of those changes in our body as part of the normal part of recovery and began to heal that in our mindset, we might not be ready to let go of that clothing prescription. Sometimes the lie that we tell ourselves around this clothing prescription is that while I am healed and while my body has changed, there might be some potential that my body is going to naturally resume this clothing identity that I have prescribed for myself. And so we hang on to these clothes in hopes that maybe as our body quote unquote normalizes, we're going to maybe again attain this identity that we maybe have become attached to. Now, when we let go of those sick clothes, something profound happens. we are forced into that identity shift. We're no longer taking up space in our mind and in our homes with things that no longer belong to our body. The moment we do this, the moment we're able to take back power. I want to note that that doesn't mean that it's going to be easy in order for us to transition into that new identity around a new clothing size. Letting go of our sick clothes is one thing, and learning to respect and appreciate and love our body for what it is now, completely different mindset. And there's also a lot of financial obligation in that. Many of us might have put significant amounts of time, energy, and let's not forget money into purchasing those clothes that when we were engaged in eating disorder behavior. And we might not be ready to admit that our current body, our recovered body, deserves the same amount of respect as we had for our body when we purchased those sick clothes. And the reality is, clothes are expensive, especially if you're into something like designer clothes. And let's be real, as we're in recovering, our body can transition a multitude of times. And so investing in clothing that supports our new body and we feel good and vibrant in can be very difficult as that body changes a multitude of times. This is a hard transition, both mentally, physically, and financially. And the way that I like to say it is, my body doesn't have a problem. The problem is that I'm not a millionaire. I can't go and just dump hundreds or thousands of dollars into a completely new wardrobe every time my body hits that new set point as it's recovering from that eating disorder. So that can be challenging, but reframing it and taking the negativity away from our body and instead focusing on potentially real life issues such as financials, time, etc., can be a helpful way to ease into some of those transformations we have around clothing. So what can we do about this? One thing that I really encourage doing, if we want to honor our body with new clothing that makes us feel comfortable, vibrant, and honor that new body, we don't have to spend a significant amount of money to do this. We can shop thrift stores, discount stores, etc. If we're into designer, maybe settle on 1 to 2 outfits that are designer as our body reaches its now set point as we progress further into recovery. We want to make sure that we have clothing that feels good and fits good every step of the way on that recovery journey as our body changes, but we don't have to break the bank to do it. You might not be ready to fully let go of those sick clothes yet, and that's okay, but let's get them out of space and our mind. So let's take them out of our drawers and our closet and put them into a box and put them into a garage. Maybe let them sit there for a few months where maybe they're out of sight, out of mind. And after a few months, it might be much easier to let those clothes go to a new and loving owner after we're no longer attached to seeing those clothes every day. So I just want to acknowledge that this is a very difficult part of that journey, and it has much, much more to do with our identity just being a material object that sits on our body. We really want to hold space for the grief that can come alongside with letting go of those sick clothes. I hope that this video was helpful for you. If so, please consider liking, subscribing, and sharing with a friend.